समवेत भक्त वृंद की जय, ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, श्रीमद् भगवत गीता की जय, गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि बोल. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna.
Krishna.
All glories to the assembled devotees,
Hare
Hare.
Krishna.
All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare.
Hare Krishna.
All glories, all glories, all glories to Shishi Guru and Shishi Gauranga, all glories to Maharaj ki jai.
Hare Bol.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्. प्रणमतां स्वकथा कृष्णा पुण्यश्रवणकीर्तना हृदन्तस्तु भद्राणि विध्नोति स्वसताम्. नष्टप्रायेष भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी. कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नंदनाय च नंदगोपकुमाराय गोविंदाय नमो नमः. Hare Krishna. So today we are continuing our reading of Srimad Bhagavatam. We are on Canto 3rd, chapter number 5, text number 26. So we will recite this verse for 3 times. So I'll request Gurnihavali Mataji if she can lead us.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Thank you very much for all glories to Srila Prabhupada.
बात की जय.
कलवृत्त्या तु मयायां गुणमय्याम् अदोक्षजा पुरुषेणात्मभूतेन वीर्यम् अदत्तवीर्यवान् कलवृत्त्या तु मयायां गुणमय्याम् अदोक्षजा पुरुषेणात्मभूतेन वीर्यमादत्त वीर्यवान् कलवृत्त्या तु मय्यायां गुणमय्याम् अदोक्षजा पुरुषेणात्मभूतेन वीर्यम् अदत्त वीर्यवान्. हरे कृष्ण.
Hare Krishna. Other devotees can recite.
कालवृत्त्या तु मायायां गुणमय्याम् अदोक्षजा पुरुषेणात्मभूतेन वीर्यमादत्त वीर्यवान्.
हरे कृष्ण. कालाभृत्ताया तु मायायां गुणमायायां दक्षया पुरुषेणात्मा भूतेन वीर्यम् अधत्ता वीर्यवान्. हरे कृष्ण.
Hare Krishna.
कालवृत्त्या तु मायायां गुणमयम् अधोक्षजा पुरुषेणात्मना भूतेन वीर्यम् आदत्त वीर्यवान्.
Hare Krishna. Thank you all for reciting. So let me recite this verse. कालवृत्तया तु मायायां गुणमय्याम् अधोक्षजा पुरुषेणात्मना भूतेन वीर्यम् आदत्त वीर्यवान्. Synonyms and translation purport by Srila Prabhupada. Synonyms: Kala, the eternal time; Vrattaya, by the influence of; Tu, but; Mayayam, in the external energy; Gun Mayam, in the qualitative modes of nature; Adokshaja, the transcendence; Purushena, by the Purusha incarnation; Atma Bhutena, who is a plenary expansion of the Lord; Viryam, the seeds of the living entity; Adatta, impregnated; Viryavan, the supreme living being. Translation and purport of Shilpad ki jai. The supreme living being in his feature as transcendental Purusha incarnation, who is the Lord's plenary expansion, impregnates the material nature of three modes, and thus by the influence of eternal time, the living entity appears. Purport by Shilpad. The offspring of any living being is born after father impregnates the mother with semen. And the living entity floating in the semen of father takes the shape of mother's form. Similarly, mother material nature cannot produce any living entity from her material elements unless and until she is impregnated with living entities by the Lord himself. That is the mystery of the generation of living entities. This impregnating process is performed by first Purusha incarnation, Karana Navshahi Vishnu. Simply by his glance over material nature, the whole matter is accomplished. We should not understand the process of impregnation by the personality of God in terms of our conception of sex. The omnipotent Lord can impregnate just by his eyes. Therefore, he is called all potent. Each and every part of his transcendental body can perform each and every function of the other parts. This is confirmed in Brahma Samhita 5.2, 5.32. Angani yasya sakalindriya vratti manti. In Bhagavad Gita 14.3, also the same principle is confirmed. Maya mam yonir mahad brahma tasmin garbham dadhamya aham. When the cosmic creation is manifested, the living entities are directly supplied from the Lord. They never products of material nature. Thus, no scientific advancement of material science can ever produce a living being. That is the whole mystery of the material creation. The living entities are foreign to the matter, and thus they cannot be happy unless they are situated in same spiritual life as the Lord. The mistaken living being, out of forgetfulness of this original condition of life, unnecessarily wastes time trying to become happy in the material world. The whole Vedic process is to remind one of this essential feature of life. The Lord offers the conditioned soul a material body for his so-called enjoyment. But if one does not come to his senses and enter into spiritual consciousness, the Lord again puts him in the unmanifested condition as it existed in the beginning of the creation. The Lord is described as Viryavan, or the greatest potent being, because he impregnates material nature with innumerable living entities who are conditioned from time immemorial. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur येन तस्मै श्री गुरुवे नमः. श्री चैतन्य मनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं. वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवं च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं शाद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगण ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च. नमा ओम विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिनिति नाम्ने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचरणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारणे. नमो महावदान्याय कृष्ण प्रेम प्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्ण चैतन्य नामने गोरत्तुषे नमः. पंचतत्वात्मकं कृष्णं भक्त रूप स्वरूपकं भक्तवतारं भक्ताख्यं नमामि भक्त शक्तिकं. वाञ्छा कल्पतरुश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यश्च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमः. हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीन बंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांता नमस्तुते. तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये. जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद. हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. हरे कृष्ण. कालवृत्तया तु मायायां गुणमय्यम अधोक्षजा पुरुषा पुरुषेणात्मना भूतेन पुरुषेण आत्मभूतेन वीर्यम आदत्त वीर्यवान. The supreme living being in his feature as transcendental Purusha incarnation, who is the Lord's plenary expansion, impregnates the material nature of three modes, and thus by the influence of eternal time, the living entities appear. Hare Krishna. So in this verse, Lord explain this verse explains that how all the living entity take birth in this material world. We have a book called Life Come From Life. I don't know, you might have seen that in our Srila Prabhupada's one of the book that we distribute. It says life come from the life. So that's the point Prabhupada actually makes in this purport, that the living entities cannot be created by any chemical process or by any material arrangements. At the beginning of the creation, Maya Shakti or Lord's material energy was there with three modes of material nature. It's there. But Maya was incapable of creating living entity. Maya alone cannot do anything without the power of the Lord. As a woman cannot give birth to a child without the help of a man. It is like, if you see in material context, the child, the process of creating a child is a combination of a man and a woman. When a man and a woman come together, they create a child. The process is that the semen from the male's body enter into the woman's body, and then the life creates there. But point is that the life come from life. It's not that you can take some chemical elements from the nature and you can give a life there. Nowadays people are like, very much fascinated by this artificial intelligence, right? The whole world is running behind this, right? Now think that they can build something very fascinated. But the word itself, it says artificial intelligence. The artificial it means it's just creation. It's not real. It's created by, it's the brain behind is the woman, is a man's brain. The human brain is behind this artificial intelligence. It's not that something can be created by its own. In the material world, like here, all this life is possible only from another life. Life come from life. Prabhupada says that. So here, this world, all the living entity, they appeared or they created in this world by the power of Lord himself. Lord expand himself as Purusha incarnation. Purusha is basically means who reside in the place. Like say, suppose if we in this material world, the whole world is like a place, and where the Lord reside, that's why he called Purusha. Like we have three Purusha incarnations, and this is the first Purusha incarnation, which is the Mahavishnu or Kananakshahi Vishnu, or what we call Kanodakshahi Vishnu. So at the beginning of the creation, when the Maya Shakti is there with three modes, Sattvagun, Rajogun, Tamagun, the mode of goodness, passion, ignorance, find herself incapable of creating the living entity, because there was no living entity with Maya. Maya has all the elements, but no living entity there. 24 elements are there, but there is no living entity. So as a man impregnate a woman by injecting semen into the body of woman, and the soul get transferred. The soul actually travels in the semen and actually transfer from male body to the female body. But here, all the living entities which are there with Lord himself, and the Lord actually inject them into the body, into the material nature. as we see in Bhagavad Gita 14.3, what Lord says? Lord, Prabhupada mentioned that 14.3 here in the purport. Here Prabhupada says that, I'll show the verse. Here Krishna is saying, Mam yonir mahad brahma tasmin garbham dadham me aham sambhavasar bhutanam tato bhavati bharata. The Lord is saying that Mam yonir mahad brahma, the the source of birth is this Brahman or this Maya Shakti. The total material substance called Brahman is the source of birth. And it is that Brahman I impregnate. So Lord is saying that I impregnate. Because of that, all this living entity took birth in the material world. If we see the modern science, people say that there's a big bang happened at certain point of time. There was a big bang, long back, there was a big bang, and out of that big bang, this beautiful creation come out, and the life originated from that big bang. This all these beautiful planets create out of that big bang, and then slowly things settle it down, and now then amino acid produce and all this kind of things, and then this life came into picture, and then they say that according to Darwin's theory, like this, like we came from monkeys and all those kind of things. But that's not possible. Here, Krishna is saying that I impersonate, I produce all the living entity. It's not that first monkeys came and then human came and this and that. Those kind of things are not there. Like it's according to our Vedic scripture, all the living entity created at one point of time by the Lord. He's saying make possible the birth of all living entity in one shot. There. He impregnated material nature with all the living entity. The soul come from the Lord. The living entity come from the Lord, and the bodies are created by the material nature. As mother give the body, the soul come from the father. So here Prabhupada says in the purport, this is an explanation of the world. How this world is getting created is explained here. Everything that takes place is due to the combination of shit. Sorry, no, not this one. Sorry, I was going there. Wrong purport. The offspring of any living being is born after father impregnated the mother with semen, and the living entity floating in the semen of father takes shape of the mother's form. Similarly, mother material nature cannot produce any living entity from her material elements until she is impregnated with the living entity by the Lord himself. Without the power of the Lord, living entity cannot take birth here. That is a mystery of generation of the living entity. And this impregnating process is performed by first Purusha incarnation, Karanashaya Vishnu. And simply by his glance over material nature, whole matter is accomplished. Now here one important point is that in 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 this world, in order to produce a child, a mother or a man and a woman has to come physically together to generate the child, right? Or maybe now science is basically doing some kind of test tube babies, or they are going in like different thing. But point is that you have to take elements from mother's body and father's body and then do it. But here, when Lord creates the living entity, he don't even come in contact with the Maya. He just looks at the Maya by glance. Just by the glance, he actually impersonate the material nature. So here Prabhupada says, we should not understand the process of impregnation by the personality of God in terms of our conception of sex. So the omnipotent Lord can impregnate just by his eyes. Means when Lord looks at the material nature, just by his eyes, he can impregnate the material nature and then produce all the living entity. Why? Because Lord is all potent. Here Prabhupada says that the Lord is all potent. Each and every part of the transcendental body can perform each and every function of other parts. Like say we have eyes, we have ears, we have nose, we have tongue, we have skin, we have hands, legs, like that. So all body parts have different function. Through our eyes we can see, through our ears we can hear, Through our tongue, we can talk and taste. From our hands, we can do the work. From our legs, we can walk, right? But we cannot interchange. It's not possible that we can eat from our eyes. It's not possible we can smell from our ears. Our senses can do only particular function. You cannot do one other function by other senses. But Krishna, because Krishna's body is transcendental, Krishna's body is transcendental and Krishna's senses are interchangeable. Means Krishna can see from the eyes and Krishna can see from the hand also. Krishna can eat from tongue and Krishna can eat from eyes also. Say similarly, like say process is that when we make an offering to the Lord, when we do bhoga offering to the Lord, we prepare nice preparations, like we prepare like rasgulla, gulab jamun, puri, halwa, kachori, samosa, all these kind of things, and we take to the Lord and we put in front of the Lord, and after a few minutes, maybe 10-15 minutes, we bring the plate back and we see everything is still there, right? So many people question like, okay, how come is that possible that you put it 4 samosas in front of Lord and then you are taking back 4 samosas? How Lord eats, right? So process what explained in Shastra is that Lord, just by glancing his eyes, he can taste the food. As soon as we as soon as we put the offering in front of Lord and chant the mantras, and Lord just glances over the bhoga, and he can actually taste all the things of we are offering to the Lord just by his eyes. That is the power of the Lord. He just can see and taste he actually take the love and devotion from that bhoga. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Patram pushpam phalam toyam yome bhakta prachati tadam bhaktam upratam ashnami prayatatmana. All Lord takes is the love and devotion that you put it in the offering. It's not that Lord is basically hungry, like, or Lord want your food. It's not that. Lord is looking for the love and devotion a devotee is putting in his effort to bring an offering for the Lord. How much love and devotion we are doing in making preparation for the Lord. Lord accepts only the love and devotion. He is a bhavagrahi, Janardana. He only accepts our love and devotion. So Lord can eat from his eyes. Lord can walk from his hands. Lord can see from his feet, from his lotus feet. So Lord's body is interchangeable. Lord's senses are interchangeable. In Brahma Samhita it says that Angani isa sakalindra vratti manti pashyanti panti kalyanti chiram jaganti ananda chinma sadujjala vigrahasya govindamadi purusham tamam bhajami. So there he says Lord Brahma glorifying Krishna is saying that Lord's body is transcendental and Lord senses are interchangeable. Lord's body is not made up of the body that we have. The human body is made up of gross elements, the sut and we have subtle body which is made up of mind, intelligent, false ego. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna explains that Bhumi Rapo Analo Vayu Khammana Buddhireva Cha Ahankar Ityam Bhinna Prakriti Ashtadha. The body, the gross body is made up of earth, fire, air, ether, water. And we have subtle body which is made up of mind, intelligence and false ego. So these are 8 separate energy of the Lord. And we have this body. So our body is temporary. It will go away. But Lord's body is not made up of these 8 elements. Lord's body is Satchidanand. Ishwara Parama Krishna. Satchidananda Vigraha. So Satchidananda means Lord's body is made up of not this earth, fire, air, ether, water. The Lord body is full of eternity, full of bliss, full of knowledge. It is beyond our material understanding. We cannot experience that with our this material senses. Lord's body is transcendental beyond our material conception. That's why when Lord comes to this material world, when Lord appears in the material world, he does not take body like us. When we come to this material world, yet before our birth, we were there somewhere. We don't know where we were, but we are there somewhere, right? And after after the death of this body, we will go somewhere which we don't know. But when we come to this material world, we get this body in the womb of our mother, and this body is made up of 5 elements: earth, fire, air, ether, water. And at the time of death, we will give up this body: earth, fire, air, ether, water. This body will be given up, but we will remain as is. As Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Dehino asmin yatha dehe kaumaram yauvanam jara tatha dehantar prapti dhiras tatanam huyati. As a living entity or embodied soul transmigrate from child body to youth body to young body and then to old age, and ultimately at the time of death they give up this body and take another body. So this body is like a dress which is a temporary given to us. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita again, Vamsamsi jirnani yatha vihaya namani garnate naro parani tatha shranani vihaya jirnani anyani samyati namani dehi. As a person gave up the old and useless garments, puts up the new garments, right? Similarly, the soul at the time of death gives up this useless and the old body and accept a new body. So our body is changing. Our body is changing every moment, right? Our bodies keep changing. But the Lord's transcendental body doesn't change. It's not made up of matter. That's why Bhagavad Gita Krishna says, Janma karmacha me divyam evam viveti tatvata tayaktva deham punarjanam nayati mamiti swarjuna. Lord is declaring that my janma, my birth, and my activities, my karma are transcendental. They are not material as our activities are. Our birth is material, our activities are also material as long as we are not Krishna conscious. Right? So our body is material, so we perform karma, which is material karma. But when Krishna comes and he takes birth or he perform activity, his birth and his activity are transcendental. Means Lord does not take birth as we take birth. So Prabhupada just explained in the previous paragraph that how we take birth is basically the process of material sexual in conception. But when Lord appears, Lord does not appear like this. We see in Srimad Bhagavatam, in the 10th canto is mentioned, Lord Krishna, when he was appearing, he first came into the heart of Vasudeva. It does not come like the way common living entity comes. He appeared in the heart of Vasudeva, and from the heart of Vasudeva, he entered into the heart of Devaki, and from there he actually entered in the womb of Devaki. So Lord appearance in this material world is not same as the taking birth of a common living entity. Say for example, it says that Lord appears and disappears. Appear, disappear means that Lord is not accepting any material body. Lord appears and then when the things are done, he disappears. Like in the morning, the sun appears from the eastern horizon, and in the evening, sun sets on the western horizon. And then during the night time, we cannot see the sun. If somebody says that sun dies at the evening and takes birth in the morning, is that a right understanding? It's not, because during the night time we cannot see sun, but sun is there glowing somewhere else, right? So it means sun is not dying or not taking birth, it's just disappearing from our eyes. Similarly, Lord appears and disappears. In the morning as sun appears, we see, oh, sun is coming up. Like people goes to see sunrise on the Atlantic Ocean. So it's look like the sun is coming out from the ocean, right? And sun is setting like in the Pacific Ocean. It look like the sun is going into the ocean, but actually not. It's just disappearing from our eyes, but sun is already there somewhere. So similarly, Lord comes here, performs his pastime, and then disappears. Lord does not take birth like us, as we take birth. And Lord does not perform activity like us, as we perform activities. And we are binding ourselves with the material activities, the karma. But when Lord comes and performs his activities, they are transcendental. That's what Prabhupada mentioned here. Like, Lord can perform any activity from his any part of his body, because body is transcendental. So here Prabhupada further says, the same principle is confirmed mam yonid mahar brahma tasmin garbham dadamya. When the cosmic creation is manifested, the living entity is directly supplied from the Lord. From where we came, some people say that, okay, first whether tree came or a seed came. So, because if you say seed comes first, then they say without trees, how come seed comes? And if you say that, okay, tree come first, then you say without seed, how tree come first? So you cannot answer that which came first. But here Krishna is saying everything come from me. I am the seed giving father. Actually, a seed, original seed came from Lord. He's saying that, like that, garbham dadhamiham. Maham yonir mahad brahma, garbham dadhamiham. I actually impregnated every living entity. So here in Bhagavad Gita, next verse, Krishna is saying this सर्व योनिषु कौन्तेय मूर्ते संहतिय तासाम ब्रह्म महद्योनि aham bija pradapita. Here this word aham bija pradapita. So all the seed came from Krishna, and then from seed everything created. So that's why here the Lord is the father of all living entity. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Pitaham asya jagato mata dhata pitamaha. I am the father of all living entity. Nobody can claim that he is the father of all living entity. Is there anyone who can actually say that I am the father? Because as soon as you say that you are the father, then you need to take care of the people, right? We cannot take care of two child. Nowadays, like, people have hardly able to give good education or food or a house for two child, and like, it's people are struggling so hard because so much of competition, so much of materialism going on, right? But Krishna is claiming that you are all my child. I am your father, and not even father. Krishna says that Pitaham asya. So I am not even father. Somebody say, oh, Krishna, you are father, then mother will be someone else. Okay, mother, I can go to that mother. Krishna said, no, mother, I am the mother also. Petamasya Jagato Mata. I am the mother of all living entity also. Means this material nature is nothing but is my separate energy. Krishna is saying that this material energy is nothing but is my energy, is my external energy. So is even Mata is I am. And then another person might say, well, if you are mother, you are father, what about grandfather? Maybe somebody is your father also, right? But Krishna said, no, I am the grandfather also. Pitahama, I am the Pitahama also. Or somebody might say, well, okay, you are mother, you are father. But sometimes what happens is a mother and father give birth to a child and then leave it. And then somebody else take care of the child. So that is called dhata. Krishna saying that dhata is also I am. So Krishna is saying no other option, that I am everything actually. I am your father, I am your mother, I am your caretaker, and I am your grandfather too. So there is no option. I am everything. So so everything comes from Krishna. So Krishna is our father. So thus here Prabhupada say that there are these living entities are actually coming from Krishna. We are all part and parcel of Krishna. Krishna says Bhagavad Gita, Mame Vamsho Jeev Loke Jeevuta Sanatana Mana Sashtani Indriyani Prakriti Sthani Karshati. All the living entities are my part and parcel. So Krishna is claiming that he is the father of all living entities. So that's why Prabhupada says like, thus no scientific advancement or material science can ever produce a living being. Life comes from life. You cannot produce life from the chemicals. This is the whole mystery of the material creation. The living entities are foreign to the matter. We living entity belong to spiritual world. We are not part of this material world. We are foreigners here. Somebody might feel that, like, in US, that we are immigrants, but actually every living entity is immigrant on this material world. We do not belong to this material world. We are all immigrants actually. We can be thrown out. So we are all immigrants here. We are forced to take birth in this material world. But it's not that generally immigrants want visa to go to some place, but here we are forced to come here. We have been thrown out here by the material nature because of our sinful activities. So we are all foreign to this matter. We do not belong to matter. We are spirit. We are Satchidanand. But we are somehow or other end up in this material world. So thus, Prabhupada said, thus they cannot be happy unless they are situated in the same spiritual life as Lord. We cannot become happy unless we go back home, back to Godhead. As Prahlad Maharaj gives example in Srimad Bhagavatam, say suppose if you take fish out of water, fish, if you go to ocean and you take the fish out of the water and say like, hey fish, why you are dependent upon water? I'll take you out from the water and I will give you a better liquid. Water is not like the ocean is salt water. It is not that good. I will take you out and I will put you in a milk, very fine, good milk. And if you brought the fish and put in a milk, will fish will be happy? Fish won't be happy in the milk. Okay, then he say, okay, if you don't like milk, I will put you in honey. It's more better than even in milk. You know, honey is very good, like kind of semi-liquid, right? So then he said, like, I'll put it in honey. So no, fish won't be happy in the honey also. If you give the fish that, okay, I will give you a nice house, I will give you a nice couch, I will give you a nice car, nice this, and I will give nice food and all. Please be happy here. Fish won't be happy. Rather, fish going to die if you don't take it back to the water, right? So fish won't be happy outside unless you put back fish into the water. The only way you can make fish happy and healthy that you put back into the water, because fish belong to the water. Fish can be only happy in the water. Similarly, we, living entity, we belong to spiritual world. We are part and parcel of Krishna. If we are trying to become happy in this material world by any arrangement, we will not be happy. We can try as much as possible, but we will not be happy in this material world. We will only be happy when we go back home, back to Godhead, our original position. Our only way we can become permanently happy. Here, what I'm saying is that in this material world, there is a happiness, but it is very, very less. And that too also, it's not a happiness. It is just absence of pain and distress. When there is no pain, no distress, we feel happy. But actually, that's not real happiness. That is just absence of dukkha, absence of miseries. Little bit, sometime, when you are young, at that time, body is very, very strong. At that time, we don't feel many miseries. But other than that, there's always a misery in this material world. Hardly there any time that you won't feel miseries. So the only way you can become permanently happy, there's little happiness here, temporary is given in the material world, but that is only for a very short period of time. If you really want an eternal happiness, only way we can find it out, only we can get it is we go back home, back to Godhead, right? So here Prabhupada said, thus, they cannot be happy unless they are situated back to spiritual life. The mistaken living entity being out of forgetfulness is original condition of life. Unnecessarily waste time to try and become happy in the material world. We are trying every day to become happy again and again and again and again. And we are being cheated by the material nature. We are being cheated every day by the material nature that today will become happy, today will become happy, tomorrow will become happy, but we are not becoming happy. Rather, we are creating problem after problem after problem after problem. And we are getting into this problem after problem, and then ultimately we are getting misery after misery after misery. So that's why here Prabhupada said the whole Vedic process is to remind one of essential feature of life. This world is created for what? To actually understand this point that this material world is full of misery. Dukhalyam ashashvatam. This material world is full of problems and is temporary. So Lord is saying, the Lord offers the conditioned soul a material body for his so-called enjoyment. But if one does not come to his senses and enter his spiritual consciousness, the Lord again puts him in unmanifested condition as it existed in the beginning of creation. So this is a chance for us. Prabhupada says that this human life is most important for us. This human life is most important for us, so that it's a chance for us to go back home, back to Godhead. If we do not take advantage of this human form of life, then again we go back into the unmanifested, and then again we come back again. So this cycle of birth and death will continue. Punarapi jananam, punarapi mananam, punarapi jatri jatre shanam. Again and again we're going to die. Again and again we have to take birth. Again we go to the womb of our mother. So this process will continue till we go back home, back to Godhead. And this is the opportunity, that this opportunity given by the Lord to us is that we should actually take the advantage of this human form of life and go back home, back to Godhead. So last year, Prabhupada said that this the Lord is described as Viryavan, as we have Dhanvan. Dhanvan means people who have wealth. Putravan, people who have putra, like people who have like this, or Balvan, people who have power. Here, Lord is Viryavan, means potent. Virya means potent. The Lord is the only person who is potent. All other we are all energies. So he's the greatest potent being, but he impersonates material nature with innumerable living entity who are conditioned from time immemorial. So we are all came from Krishna. We all came from Krishna, right? And we are suffering this material world. The only way we can relieve ourselves is we can go back home, back to Godhead. That's the only way. And that we can do by taking shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, and then chant Hare Krishna. And that's the way we can actually become permanently happy in this material world. Or once we go back home, back to Godhead, that is called real liberation. When we reach home, our original home, which is the spiritual world. All right, thank you very much. I'll stop now here and see if anyone have any comment or any questions or any realizations they would like to share.
Thank you very much, Prabhu. So here in this world, yes, Punarapi Jananam, Punarapi Maranam, that was a beautiful song Shankaracharya gave us. But Krupaya Pare Pahi Murare.
Yes.
Whatever you do, just chant and pray for Pahi Murare. That is the only ultimate goal for us. So whatever we are coming into, like you said that fish story, oh, that was very nice one. We won't be happy. And whatever we are destined to, we have to be there only. So if they put in the milk or honey or wherever it is, but fish won't be happy. God has created us certain things and we have to do all that. And we should look happiness in that. We are not likely, we are looking for happiness in somewhere else. That's what the problem we are having. I felt like that. Thank you very much for that. You just gave nice examples.
Thank you very much. That example was given by Prahlad Maharaj.
I know.
Prahlad Maharaj gave in his prayer to the Lord. See?
Yeah. But what I'm saying is, that is true.
Yeah, we cannot become happy. Our original situation is that we are always, because we are transcendental living, we are spirit soul. Only way we can happy when we basically get connected with the Lord.
That's true.
Because we forget our relationship with the Lord, that's the only reason we are suffering. And that's what the whole scripture is saying. This human form of life is the best vehicle for us to understand Supreme Personality of Godhead by chanting Hare Krishna.
And he gave us nice brain and everything. But we are misusing sometimes. If we use it properly, that we'll know that what is God. He is Mata Pita, everything.
That's why we say Tamev Mata Pita Tamev Bandhusya Sakha Tamev. That's the right thing. Actually, we should offer that prayer. But actually, it's already there. Krishna is saying, you don't, whether you say or not, doesn't matter. I'm your father.
But he is saying that Tameva Vidya, Tameva Dravinam. Both.
No, but point is that is our prayer. But actually, Krishna is already there. Krishna is saying, I'm your father, I'm your mother, I'm your caretaker, I'm your grandfather. So even whether we say or not, but Krishna is there. It's up to us whether we accept or not. That's our choice. Isn't it?
Thank you very much, Prabhu. Nice class.
All right, thank you very much. Anyone else have any other comment or question before we end? All right, if there is nothing, so thank you all joining for today morning. Hare Krishna, everyone. Pancha kalpatarubhasya kripa sindhu
पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः।
Satguru
कोटि
Vaishnava
वैष्णव वृंद की
Srila
जय
Prabhupada की जय
जय
भागवत महापुराण की जय गौर प्रेम
जय हरि हरि बोल।